We've got Eric Wilson of InStyle magazine, who's going to be moderating an incredible panel about the future of fashion tech. Please join me in welcoming the panel to discuss fashion tech.
Great. Well, thank you all for turning up to hear about a subject that everybody in fashion is interested in, which is kind of funny because a lot of the discussion around fashion and technology is just about how strange of bedfellows they are and how they don't go together very well. And no one really thinks that wearable technology is very stylish at this moment, but things are changing incredibly quickly, and I think in 2015 is the year that you'll really see the marriage of these two industries in ways we never even expected. So the goal of our panel tonight is to discuss the future of fashion and technology and come up with some kind of blue sky ideas about what might be in the future. So first up is Alvin Valley. Now, I knew Alvin during his original reign as the King of Pants back in the 1990s when he created a fantastic design that was somewhat ingenious in its simplicity, a pair of pants that fits. His business grew so quickly and so popular that when the recession came, unfortunately, he was among the many designers who were not able to maintain that progress at that point. But he's also the exception to the rule in that he's one of the very few who've managed to make a return in a very interesting way, and he did that by focusing his business entirely online. He no longer sells to department stores. You have to buy his clothes through his website. And once again, he's the King of Pants.
Thank you.
Then we have Brandon Holly, who started her career in fashion magazines, where I work now, but she has, more than most editors, transitioned into the digital frontier in a fascinating way. She was a senior features editor at GQ magazine, launched Elle Girl magazine, was then the editor-in-chief of Jane magazine, where I first met her. In 2007, she moved to Yahoo to launch its first women's site called Shine, which in 2 years grew to be one of the largest women's destinations at 35 million unique visitors per month. In 2010, she came back to Condé Nast to be the editor of Lucky magazine, and she is now the CEO and founder of Everywhere, and that's WEAR, which she'll tell you about in just a moment. And I'm incredibly happy to have Alexandra Wilson here, who I've also known since she started Gilt Group in 2007. And I was among those who was skeptical about the idea of shopping online around that time until I tried Gilt. It was actually one of the first sites where I purchased something. And it was kind of like going to Woodbury Commons without the bus. You could buy amazing designer clothes at fantastic prices, and they would show up within a day or two, and not surprisingly, this business turned into something quite massive. And if you have not read the book that was on the New York Times bestseller list, By Invitation Only, How We Built Gilt and Changed the Way Millions Shop, you really should take a look at it, because it's a fantastic story of how the business is changing today and how people really are buying online. So I'll start by asking each of our panelists a little bit about their stories, and I want to hear first from Alvin, who made the transition from traditional designer who sold his clothes in brick and mortar stores to one who sells exclusively online. And tell me why you made that decision.
Hi, Eric. Thank you for having me here, everyone. We sold the company, and then the recession hit, and I realized that I did not want to just linger on without knowing what I was going to do with my life, and I decided that I needed to get back and get my company back and my name back. And so if I was going to do that, I needed to figure out what would be the new strategy. And with social media and Facebook and all these other social media networks that were coming and popping up, I realized that there was an avenue where I could have a direct communication with my consumer, with the customer, with the clients, and not be so dependent on the retailers. And so with that idea in mind, I went ahead and got a bunch of investors and bought the brand back. And at some point, I started realizing that it was a great exercise for me, because in order for me to get back the brand and to be able to really understand what my clients wanted to do, I needed to just have communication with them directly. And in this case, I needed to cater directly to them rather than to what the buyer wanted.
Excellent. And tell us how it's gone. It's been 2 years since you've been back. How's the business doing?
The business has been great. I mean, it's ups and downs, as you know. I feel like I'm in a startup. Doesn't feel like I have, 18 years of history. But for me, it has been a great journey because I feel like I've learned something new that I did not know before. Clearly, I know how to cut a pant, but I wanted to embrace something new. I feel that I've become a better designer because I can hear what women really want and what their real issues are. And so we've developed all these sort of ideas, such as deliveries, styling, pricing, all these other sort of things that now we can take into account that women really want to be heard about. We are now embarking in a whole new direction now that we actually have a new CEO who's a true technologist, and so I feel that we're now going to be embracing a new world and taking it to the next level as well.
Excellent. Brandon, you're not new to the digital world by any means, but you have a traditional print background, and now you're making the transition to entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about what your thinking was in deciding to start this new venture, what it is, and how your experience comes into play in building what it's going to be.
Well, I've been making content for women for 25 years, and one thing that women always tell me is they just want the wardrobe of an editor. Like at Lucky, they would almost chase us down the street and say, "Just tell me the 10 things I need," like it's some secret that we hold, and it really does come down to some basics. Also, I was dressed by my editors for every season. So they'd come to my house, they'd throw all my clothes on the floor, we'd Polaroid it when Polaroid still existed, and we'd put it up on my closet, or we'd do it digitally, and they would find these amazing things in my wardrobe. Like one time even Leandra Man Repeller did it, and I had this Balenciaga dress that I could not wear. I bought it at a friends and family sale for, like 10% of what it was really originally. But I looked like I was going to like some French head of state's funeral, and he was my husband. It was like really black, and she just said, "Just wear it as a jacket with a t-shirt and jeans and some fucked up heels." Sorry for that. And she was right. And so I wore it the way she said, and I was photographed all over at the shows because she actually had like taken something weird in my wardrobe. And I realized that like those people, 99% of the people don't have that, but that little fraction of people who do are really valuable. So I thought, so everywhereapp.com, it's called Everywhere, seeks to bring that kind of styling service to women all over. So just using a little bit of authority to go through your closet, say like, you know what, have you ever thought of that together? And then we also kind of sell you things as well when we feel it's necessary. But I hope that this will somehow in some time change the way we shop so that we're not shopping blind, so that when you go into a store, your wardrobe is on your phone and it can actually talk to the person there, or while you're shopping, you're aided, you're guided so that you're not buying, because I know we all buy stuff we don't want to wear. So we get it home and like, ay, what was I thinking? So this sort of mitigates that problem a little bit because you've got someone there saying like, not that, do this. So.
And how do you feel making that transition from print to entrepreneur?
It's so exciting. Print, as you know, is really traditional, and it's very based in. It's hard to get out of the bounds of the pages of the magazine. Now you can just put anything together you want, and just hanging out with entrepreneurs, like you know this world so well, but it's very exciting, and there's a lot of connection, and it feels like we're in a moment in history that we will look back on that will be an amazing time, and I'm just glad that I can somehow be a part of it because it's really, really exciting, and I'm passionate about bringing this. I'm really passionate about the way women dress. Like, sitting front row is awesome, but I really actually love to talk to them about what they really wear.
Alexandra, it's 5 o'clock and I need to blow out. What do I do?
Oh, I have an answer for you, but hold on. I'm just listening to both of you. I wanted to share my morning getting ready story, which was like, look at my calendar, what's my schedule? Oh my gosh, I have 3 speaking engagements today, which is why I was a few minutes late. That sort of never happens. And I was like, I'm going to wear my Alvin Valley red power suit because when I put this suit on, I just automatically feel empowered and confident, and it's kind of old-fashioned to be wearing a suit, but not old-fashioned to be wearing red, so I just had to throw that in there. But 5 p.m. blowout. So are any of you familiar with guilt? Yeah. I imagine fewer of you are familiar with Glam Squad, so I take no offense if you want to download our app during this chat. But what we are doing, and I joined the company as CEO literally 6 weeks ago. What we are doing is really delivering self-confidence to women every day. We offer, through a really fun, simple, this is the app, easy to use mobile app, a chance to book a blowout or makeup application or both. Whether you plan in advance, it can be 10 days in advance, it can even be way into the future if you have a wedding coming up, or on demand. So it could be like, oh my gosh, I just got invited to something tonight, or I have a date tonight and I really don't feel like I look very good, or in the fashion world there's so many last minute moments, someone can't go to something and can you go, and then you're like, oh, but I didn't blow out my hair this morning, or whatever the moment may be. And so we're here for our clients, whether they be planning or not, and our services are high quality, consistent, and relatively affordable. It's $50 for a blowout, so that's about $10 more than a blowout bar would be, but we come to your home, we come to your office, we come to your hotel room, and the vision of our business is to become our clients' beauty obsession, and I feel like we're empowering women every day, which is a really, really fun mission. If you book, it's really a special experience when you book hair and makeup, because let's say you have an 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. appointment. A lot of our professional executive clients, we have three buckets. One bucket is like professional execs, the other one's busy moms, and the other one is really social women of all ages, and they're kind of going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But if you open the door to your house and you're in your bathrobe and your hair is soaking wet and all your imperfections are, fully visible, within 45 minutes to an hour, our team really makes you feel completely transformed, and you feel better about yourself, and you feel more beautiful and more confident. And wherever it is that you're going, whether it's for a big meeting or a TV appearance or a date or a job interview, Glam Squad makes our women more self-confident.
In addition to each of your very impressive accomplishments, I think that what I am most fascinated by what you're doing is that you identified a need in the marketplace, you came up with an idea of how to solve that particular problem or desire among shoppers, but then you made it happen. And I think that's probably the most intimidating thing to think about for anyone out there who wants to go into this world, who has an idea and wants to create a best-selling app or a website that becomes a billion-dollar business. Do you have any advice for people about how to go about, just even in their brains, putting together a plan for making something happen?
I think you find a problem, you have an expertise, and you have a gut that you can fix that problem. And you start. We started with one woman in my kitchen, and now we're almost at 500 women, and we're just doing one at a time. And we found that it's just working, and then we just believe in that. And then when we go wide in mid-November, I think that same thing will hold true. But you just have to sort of believe that you're solving a problem, and don't let anybody else tell you that you're not.
So for me, I think it was more about getting your ducks lined up, getting your strategic plan, and figuring out who the players are going to be and who's going to help you out, and then moving forward. I think if it's something that's inside you that you really want to do and you really want to spring out, I think that there's fears is the last thing you need to be worried about. And fear is the thing that keeps you tight. It's what keeps you in line as well. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel people need to be able to do what they want to do, figure that out, figure out what the void in the market is, and then move forward. I mean, you have to be intelligent about it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. When you look at the statistics, most startups fail, but I think when you're an entrepreneur, you do not dwell on that at all. If you're really, truly passionate about what you're trying to build, failure is not an option. You just, persevere, and entrepreneurship, I think, is the highest highs you can possibly imagine, but it also comes with it some of the lowest lows. You do take everything very personally. There's no such thing as like, it's Friday, 5 p.m., like throw my phone to the side and check back in Monday morning. I mean, it is always a part of you and with you, and especially if you're running a kind of business that's 24/7 and it's e-commerce that never really shuts off. It's not a store that closes. So, you know, I think there's so many amazing things about, and I'm really passionate, as you can probably tell, about entrepreneurship, and I think you can be really entrepreneurial in a big corporate environment too. It doesn't matter. It depends what's right for you and what's right for you at a certain stage in your life. But if you're a passionate, creative, ideas person, an entrepreneurial, innovative, creative environment is so exciting because, at least for both Glam Squad and certainly with Guilt, we don't care about where ideas come from. It can come from an intern, it can come from an investor, it can come from a customer. If it's a good idea, it's going to be considered. And the startup world is so passionate about testing and beta testing and A/B testing, and so all ideas get a chance. And what's really fun too, because I came out of the more traditional European luxury goods environment, companies like Louis Vuitton and Bulgari, which are just very, very different. And I learned so much from both those companies. So I'm not trying to criticize anything. It's just very different. But in the startup world, mistakes are okay, as long as you don't make the same mistake twice. And you know, in the tech world, bugs and things happen every single day, and it's not, you know, I learned kind of week one on the job at Guilt, like there was a bug of some sort during a live sale, and it was kind of like, okay, root cause analysis, how did this happen, let's make sure it doesn't happen again, moving right along. And that, for me, coming from like the luxury world, was like, I've never seen that before. I'm so used to, and even like investment banking, like usually mistake happens, someone gets screamed at, people get fired, and that's just not the environment of a startup, which is really fun and refreshing.
Before we talk about the future, I want to just address the present, which is that fashion, more than any time in the last two decades, has completely embraced the concept of technology, from 3D printed clothes that we're seeing on the runway to wearable technology to all kinds of startups and new e-commerce ventures. Was there something about fashion that makes it more sexy or applicable to new business concepts right now? Or is there a reason why you might see so much activity happening in fashion and technology today?
I feel that technology, just as fashion, is evolving, and it's always about change and the next thing and the new thing. And so I think fashion, especially in my case as a designer, I am open to embracing new ideas and how to embrace those new concepts, right? How to see the windows in a different way. How do we? For me, it's no longer about the windows on Fifth Avenue anymore. It's really more about the windows that billions of people could see in 1 second, you know. And I think fashion and technology kind of go hand in hand in many ways, even though they're totally different, different worlds. I think the players are totally different. But I think that when there's a good synergy between both of them, and I think, Brandon, you know, you're seeing that as well, and I think you were one of the first ones to really embrace it. And even when you were in publishing, I think that you talked about, you know, embracing technology. And Alexandra, coming from, you know, came from Harvard Business School, I mean, like, you know, and going into traditional fashion venues and into e-commerce, for me, it's been really about how do I translate what a collection is from what it used to be, right? Before, I would just look at a rack and go like, how will this rack look like? How do I make a collection, make it look concise in this rack? Now the rack does not exist on e-commerce, so it's about seeing things very different, about creating things in a way that pop in a different way than it did on a window or in a rack. I don't necessarily think that there's so much movement within the fashion and technology. I think that we just are prone to trying new things, and retail and sales is such an important part of our business that, you know, we have to look for those avenues.
And Brandon, you're in the midst of meeting with venture capitalists to talk about the future of your business. Are you finding them particularly receptive because your idea happens to have something to do with fashion?
I think it's kind of like man and women were made and then they had to get dressed. So I feel like the digital happened. And do you remember the original fonts? You guys probably don't, but DOS, like they were ugly. And Steve Jobs actually rewrote them. So can you imagine a magazine person dealing with that? So I think it's just now that a magazine person, they're the most discerning, as you guys are. You're creative, you're the most discerning people on the planet, I think. And for that to start to influence technology is super exciting. And a few years ago when I was at Yahoo, that was not quite there yet. It was when you were starting, and now it's evolved to a point where the geeks are starting to really get it and embrace it, which is kind of awesome.
Well, it's very funny because technology historically has a connotation of coldness. Working on a computer, you isolate yourself from people, but that's changed quite a bit as well. And I think one of the things that Alexandra, that Gilt did successfully was keep in mind a positive experience with shopping online. What are some of the key factors that you should keep in mind to make sure that a customer who's shopping online is having a similar or better experience than if they were shopping in a store?
Well, one company I respect a lot in terms of customer service is Zappos. I think there are many companies who care about their customer service will literally take their teams to Las Vegas to see how Zappos does it, and many call centers I feel like are encouraged to measure productivity of how many calls per minute or per hour you can get through. And Zappos, that is not a KPI they look at. It's really like stay on the phone until you make that customer happy. And that's they built a company and a culture around that, which I really respect. But for us in the early days of Gilt, we were creating an off-price world online, and the off-price alternatives that existed that were brick and mortar were never really about customer experience, and it was almost like a dirty little secret if you were buying, let's say, a designer item at a Loehmann's, a TJ Maxx, a Century 21, a sample sale, whatever it is, you would kind of get your little treasure, rip that price tag off, and kind of no one would know where it came from, and you could be like, yes, it's Dolce & Gabbana. One thing I think is just really crazy about how shopping has changed, and I think millennials will continue to shape this. And so when millennials are interviewing for jobs, I think just being a millennial, being younger, being so comfortable in social media and shopping online is going to be a huge asset, which is great. It's sort of weird because it used to be about how many years experience you had on your resume, and now I think things are changing. But brands and stores and the shopping experience just has to evolve to the reality. I mean, I love to go into stores because I love the store experience, but I don't usually end up pulling out my wallet in the store. I kind of look, and for me it's like therapeutic, and I do a lot of my shopping online. But I was in a store and I needed something. This was in the spring, and was trying things on, and they didn't have the exact color and size that I needed. And I'm in the dressing room, and next thing I know, I'm pulling out my phone and looking at the department store to see if the size and color I wanted, and I bought it in the dressing room. And I felt terribly because the sales associate was so kind and so nice, and I was like, oh, she didn't get a commission. I mean, granted, it was like a $100 item, so there's not much commission there, but still I felt guilty, and I'm like, this is probably how millennials shop every single day. And so if brands can get really smart about sort of preempting that, like, if we don't have exactly what you want, we'll get it for you, and we'll charge it, and we'll rush it to you, etc. So anyway, lots to think about.
For sure. Alvin, do you find that you talk to customers more often now that you're online, or when you were in stores? Directly, I mean. No,
I talk to customers every day now, more than I ever did before. We also try to do personal events where I can meet and greet people, and we can do trunk shows. We're now trying to incorporate digital trunk shows so people can pre-order things as well for the next season, which is not a new thing, but it's a new thing, digital, and I think like Moda Operandi has done it really well. Now we're incorporating that. We're also incorporating digital sample sales, so we can embrace a new customer. We did a test in July, and we got loads amount of people who were from just different areas that we've never had before. And so it's all about, I think for me, it's about looking at every single part of in e-commerce or mobiles or wherever it is, that is to look at what everyone else is doing, because somehow I feel that I can adapt part of my business to any of those models. And so we've embraced, you know, the digital sample sale, we've embraced the digital trunk show. We've also, which helps us also plan our buy for the following season. And we just launched in New York a e-tailoring service. So basically, once you place your order, you can make an appointment for one of my tailors to come to your house or your office, and we will tailor the pants for you, or the jacket, or the suit. And so it's kind of like Glam Squad, but for tailoring. And we're really about developing the technologies at this point. It's about really elevating the customer service. It's not just about that item or that best fit or it's about making the customer feel empowered and better about herself, and make sure that we continue that communication, because it's not about just shipping the pant out to them. It's not about just really doing the tailoring for them. It's about continuing that ongoing communication with them, that we're there to service them, that we're there to help them out. And so for me, it's taken it to another level, that it's no longer about creating collection after collection after collection for stuff that women don't even need the next season, right? It's about really empowering women through really great staples, great fit, that are for key moments in their life, which is every day. And I think that it's such an exciting thing. We're also now developing technology for a POS system, a point of sale system, which will now be able to sort of cater to customers in a different way, where people can buy things without having to purchase them, and then eventually, once they confirm what they want, then we would charge them. So it's a really great, it's a great way to really understand what are women's fears, and what are my fears as well when I'm shopping online. You know, like, did I return that? Did they credit my credit card account? All those things that are kind of like annoying. Like, they're just a little bit annoying, and those are the little things that kind of make you think twice before you hit that order. So I want to make sure that the whole process is easy, and people don't have to think about it. You know, we want to make it really easy, that this customer does not have to think about how many pants she wants to buy. So I think that's where we're at now.
I buy all of my underwear online. I buy my dress shirts online.
You throw it away after one wear or two.
I do. But it fits, so I'm happy with it. Alexandra, you're buying clothes in the dressing room at this point. What is a store going to look like in the future? A brick and mortar store? What does this mean for the traditional sense of shopping?
I think stores eventually will just become showrooms. I think people will go to a store to try things on, and like Alexandra said, I think to confirm people's, thoughts or ideas and see what I think they want. Some people are going to want that interaction. We feel at this moment there's like a clear line between our customers, where north of 40 years old, people, there's a lot more hand-holding, and I think that, like you said, the millennium, they don't care. They're like, they want it, they get it, and if it doesn't fit, they return it. They just have no qualms about it. I think the retailers are going to be places where people are going to want to look at things, see what they really want, and maybe try it on, and then just go home and try it, order it, or maybe the stores themselves will become places where people will just order things for them right then and there, and they'll get shipped to their houses. I think it less and less has become very important for women or men to be carrying shopping bags. It's no longer a status symbol. I remember the days when, the more shopping bags you had, the more cooler you thought you were. I think that nowadays it's all about privacy. It's about trying things on at home with their own shoes, the same idea that you're doing. It's about women wanting to have that sense of like what works with their wardrobe, take it get it at home, try it on there, and then, make their decision from then on.
And I think it's also about seamless, and it's an overused term, but omnichannel. An investor related a story to me, and he said, I go in at Neiman Marcus, I buy 3 pairs of jeans, the sales lady tells me I have a great butt, and I get home, and I get nothing. So he had a relationship with this woman that he probably didn't, but he really was feeling close to her. And he said, why didn't she email me the next day and say, I have 3 shirts for you that will go great with those jeans? Which is something that online can do that retail doesn't. And there are many things that retail can do, like talk to you and actually be a person that online can't. And I think the melding of those two worlds, where it's just like what you're saying, it doesn't matter where you should, like it shouldn't even be called online and brick and mortar. It should just be called shopping, right? And you should be able to go wherever you want and get whatever you need. And
anything you see in your crystal balls about where fashion and technology are going?
Well, I remember going a few years ago to some conference in Chicago, and it was like a mini think tank as part of the conference. And I remember it was probably 4 years ago, and a guy talking about the digital wallet and everything's going to the digital wallet. And I really, like, it was the first time I'd heard that expression. He was talking about ISIS and saying, like, there's gonna be a moment soon, not like, you know, when you're 50 years from now, but a moment soon where your phone is going to be everything, your wallet, etc. And I was just kind of like, okay. I didn't realize that moment was coming as fast as it has come. And so, you know, when Uber started becoming really popular, and you know, I was a really early and very excited adopter of that, I would sort of be so excited to be going out in the evening, and I'd be able to have a small clutch that really only needed to fit like my phone and maybe a lip gloss, and I didn't have to worry about all the details of a wallet, you know, my wallet and what to put in there, because there was Uber and I could get home kind of no matter what. And I feel like that's happening more and more, and the Glam Squad experience is like that too. Our customers will never pull out a credit card, and there are more and more companies going down that path. And I think, I mean, in Starbucks I don't pull out my wallet. I mean, there are many examples. I think that's fun for shopping, because you're not looking at receipts as carefully, and you don't feel like you're spending money as carefully. You know, you just kind of, you see it after the fact, and it's just an easy email to delete if you're not paying attention, versus pulling out a credit card and the act of that. So, I mean, I think the on-demand culture is going to continue, and we'll probably see a ton of innovation in that. I think, just talking about, I didn't know you were doing that with the tailoring. I think that's so exciting. I think what you're doing in the home is so exciting. So, maybe a lot of the store experience will be brought home, which is something pretty cool and interesting to think about, especially in New York, where homes are on average so much smaller than other parts of the country. So, I think cities like Dallas and Houston, where the homes are on average like so much bigger, and shopping is certainly really important. That'll be fun to see how it all works there.
For me, I think I love the tradition of making clothes. I've seen a lot of things a lot of collaborations between designers and technology companies, and they just kind of look like forced or just made up. And I don't really buy that idea. I think at some point designers are going to be true technologists, and we're going to be able to develop different sort of patents for product. We're working on patenting a fabric that will be able to react to temperatures and try to actually make fashion with it, rather than what technologists would consider fashion. I really want to be authentic in everything that I do. Another thing that we're also patenting, we're doing a smart waistband, which will basically, you'll be able to register as a customer, you'll be able to register who the customer is, and when they feel like they want to reorder, or they want to get information of where they could take it to a tailor, or if they're outside of the city, or they want to replenish, they want to reorder, they want to see if there's a jacket that goes with it, or they love it so much that they want to order 10 more pairs of pants in different colors. They will be able to just scan it with their iPhone and reorder it, and it'll be, we're basically thinking of a no-click register, so you don't even have to think about it. Again, it's taking out that consciousness of shopping. I don't want women to think like how much money they're spending. I want them to go like, I need this, I need to get it. Because shopping and fashion needs to be something that is emotional. And once we take the emotional out of it, then it becomes just another transaction. And that's not what I want. I don't want women making transactions with me. I want them to really feel inspired. And I always tell women, don't buy 10 pairs of pants, buy one black pair of pants, fall in love with it, and then come come back. Because, you know, when I see women, the first time they're coming in to try something on, they buy too many pairs or too many clothes, too much clothes. And I see them next time, I'm like, did you wear that? I'm like, oh, I haven't worn it, it's still in the closet. But the ones that wear it, they buy the one thing, then they come back and then they buy more. So I think really it's important that fashion, as we're embracing technology, as we are becoming one, as we're working together and collaborating together, it's important that it becomes natural and it becomes authentic, you know, not this forced thing. And I also think that the emotional part needs to remain there. At the end of the day, it's not clothes, it's fashion. That's what we're doing. So, and that's what I live for.
Can I just say one thing?
Please.
It could be that the future of fashion is sitting right here. I mean, what if fashion takes the way that movies and music has gone, which is that you can do it in your house, right? So what if bands, the way bands can put out a record and become the killers, you know, what if you could become a designer just by having a website and being able to make it at home? I mean, that's a neat thing to think about, because fashion has not gone that way yet. Fashion has stayed very much brand focused. And what if it proliferated? And I know there are companies out there trying to do that a little bit, but it could be what you're doing, which is I'm just going to open up an online store. I'm not going to worry about distribution and all the other things that keep young designers from being able to have reach.
But I also think that I've had a lot of experience within the fashion community. I know what it is to spend, you know, $200,000 on a fashion show, which, you know, when you're a kid, that's like what you want to do. You want to make a name for yourself. So you want the New York Times to write about you. But at this age right now, it's really about becoming entrepreneurial and really putting the business first, and you know, the idea is to support it rather than the marketing or all the other things that you can get caught up in it.
In the remaining few minutes, I'll bring up a few audience questions, and the first one I think is terrific, from Ava R. She was asking about the two apps that we're talking about, Everywhere and Glam Squad. Do either of you imagine an international expansion of your app? And I think this is a good question, because a lot of the great fashion technology advancements we've seen are specific to America. These great companies have come up here. You don't see these kind of products yet appearing in even the other fashion capitals or throughout Europe. So this could be a real opportunity for American industry to grow in a way that puts the country in a very positive place in terms of expansion. So do you see either of your new business models applicable to international expansion?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I'd say we're thinking about our third market. London would definitely be within the top 10. Toronto's another city that would make a lot of sense. Those are easy. They're also both obviously English language. But I think for us, we'll definitely look at urban markets that make sense around the world, and also where it's easier for us to expand, where our existing clients will travel. So a lot of our clients certainly go to London and maybe Paris and markets like that.
Well, we just got out of our kitchen, my kitchen, so we made it to Soho. So I can't think of that quite yet. But you know, for us, it would be a barrier because language. So I do think it's there, and but we'll let you go first. Pave the way.
So, of course, keeping in mind one step at a time. Another audience question. You've all done your jobs so well, but I am feeling overwhelmed by product. How are you addressing that?
We think you should buy more strategically, and with the help, you won't buy stuff that you don't need. So I think that there is a paradox of choice in online fashion, and that is a huge problem. And that's why you have huge abandoned carts, and you have huge return rates, and you have low conversions. So that's something that we seek to help.
With content being so important, but so oversaturated on the web and everywhere else, and I'm editorializing this question, what advice do you have for a startup who's trying to stand out?
Well, I mean, I would say it depends obviously what the startup is, but sometimes you got to pick a lane and go for it, and you can always add bells and whistles and pivot, but you want your concept to be pretty simple and straightforward. You know, the reasons why you hear about the quick elevator pitch, like is your concept easy to explain, easy to understand, and you can always complicate it from there. Guilt today is a much more complex business than when it started. But when it started, it was pretty clear, a pretty clear value proposition to the customer and also to brands.
A couple of the questions that are coming in have similar questions, which relate to social media. You have all these different touch points to consumers and different ways to access them. Do you have strategies about which are most successful and which ones you would advise people to explore if they're trying to draw consumers into a particular app or site?
For me, I'll answer this because we just had this issue, or not an issue, but this sort of great thing that happened. We started photographing or pulling photographs from people who were wearing the clothes, to events or whatever they were captured, however, or maybe they were just photographed by me at an event in one of my outfits. And Instagram is really one of the best places, I think. We're trying to figure out how we could really convert that through technology rather than having to put a website on it or a number so people could call. But we literally had we've had situations where we posted a girl in one of my dresses, and then literally people were answering I love that dress, can I buy it? Where do I buy it? Where, and immediately we had customer service call them or reach out to them and, and sell them that dress. So I think that Instagram is a really great place to be. It's really quick, it's fast, it, captures the moment right then and there. There's not that many words, there's not a big story that Facebook has, but which I still love, especially if I'm trying to send out a big, notice. But Instagram, I feel it's much more relevant to what I'm doing and how I can portray or show my ideas. And because I'm a visual brand, I'm a visual person just by nature, and less is more. I think that it's show me the dress, show me the pants, and let it speak for itself. So I think that that's really been a great tool for us.
We all know that running a business costs a lot of money, so for a small business or someone starting out, any secrets to creating publicity or quick traffic for an e-commerce site?
We had an idea where we would take a page, not from InStyle, but from W, and we wanted to get across the feeling that fashion has to be real for women. And so it would just be a random page from a fashion magazine of a woman, like a choker, sprawled out on the floor, and then just says, not right for your 11 a.m. You go to everywhere. It's just things that you can do that are close to your brand that allow you to get your messaging out in a way that makes people think twice, I think is a good way to get a little bang for your buck. I don't know if you...
I think PR is so important for a consumer-facing business, and so I help a lot of startups, and if they're more tech-focused, they kind of think PR is fluffy and not important, and then if they're more fashion-focused, they're like, I know PR is important. What I do, I don't think I can afford it, and I think it's important no matter what. And if you're trying to build a brand and you're trying to acquire customers, you need PR. And so, whether you find someone who you can bring on internally and just pay them as much as they can survive on. And the nice thing about a startup is not everyone has to be paid on the same scale. Some people can maybe sacrifice cash comp and get stock options. Some people don't care about stock options but care more about cash. So there's different ways you can do it. Sometimes you can bring on a PR firm or who really just is passionate about what you're trying to build, and maybe you don't pay them cash, maybe you give them some equity in your business. There are different ways to do it, but I think you need PR if you're trying to build a brand.
I agree with Alexandra. I think that PR is really important. Good PR is really important. Bad PR is not. Just getting your name on page 6 is not important. But I think that it's for me, in my case, PR really moves the needle. I had a little piece in New York Times a couple of years ago when I came back, written by yours truly. And we were sold out 2 days later, and I think our site crashed. so those are the kind of stories that are big issues, but those are good issues to have. I think PR, if done right with a great angle, and perfect timing. I always tell people, don't use a story if you're not ready to use it. And I think that then it works. It really does work. And I think that it's still the most relevant because now everything is read online. Everything's read on a mobile device. So if it's, you know, they're talking about me, my site usually is going to be portrayed on it. So you can click on it and you can shop right then and there from that article. So as opposed to the olden days when you would have to rip a page from Vogue magazine, put it in your purse, and then pull it out of your purse and see, oh, let me go to Bergdorf's and look for this dress. You know, now everything's so instantaneous.
But also just word of mouth. If you're a tiny, tiny blog and you don't have that budget, and one person likes what you do, ask them to tell 10 friends and give them a gift for it. Like, hey, you can come back, I'll buy you a coffee. We were sending out gift certificates for coffees. So if you just tell 10 friends, and that's what PR is, it's word of mouth. So it doesn't have to be a story in the New York Times. It could just be 10 people putting on Facebook, like, hey, I really like this thing, you should try it.
That's incredibly good advice, and I think that's a good way to end the evening because we are just a little bit over time right now, but it also illustrates something that I think is important to remember is that fashion and technology are not such strange bedfellows after all. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.